So let's go back to Houdini. I did add a file node here and loaded the cache. So I will connect this file to the set density node that we have down here. And before I look into this node, I will show you this technique that I mentioned. So I will make some space here. And below my file node, I will create a point wrangler connected here under the file. Let's call this node visualize. So as I have mentioned before, the whitewater particles can have three different states: foam, bubble, and spray. So let's try to visualize these particles with some color. So first of all, let's set the color of the particles to black. So type the following: v, which is a vector, at cd, so use a capital C and small d, equals set, and we're going to set a vector value here, 0, 0, 0, close parentheses, and semicolon. So this will change the color to black. If you press Ctrl Enter, you will notice this. And now what I'm going to do is use the value of the state of the particles to add color. So press Enter and type the following: v at cd dot r. So this would be only the red component of the color, is equal to f at bubble. So in this case, remember, the bubble attribute is a float value. So let's go ahead and press Ctrl Enter. And apparently nothing's happening, but if we take a look at what's happening under the water surface, you will notice now that some particles have some red coloring. So let's hide the rest of the objects. Click on Hide Other Objects here. Take a look from above. And actually I'm going to change the color of the background. So you can press D, and here under the Background tab, look for the color scheme and change it to light just for a while. So here we have our red bubble particles. Okay, so let's add some green color. So press Enter on your pop wrangler and type v at cd dot g. Of course, this is the green component of the color, is equal to f at foam. And then type semicolon. Press Ctrl Enter to apply this code. Okay, so all these green particles are the foam particles, and basically the foam particles are the ones riding on the surface of the water. So finally, let's add the blue color. So press Enter and then type v at cd dot g is equal to f at spray and semicolon, and press Ctrl Enter. Okay, so I typed G instead of B, so let's change that. Okay, so now the blue particles are the spray particles. These are the ones that are rising above the surface. And for now, we're only coloring these particles to visualize what's happening, but you can clearly see that probably with this camera view, we won't be using the bubble particles because they won't be seen anyway. Also, this can help you think of how you can shade the particles in the future. For example, you can add some opacity depending on the particle's attribute, or you can also change the size or the shape of the particles depending on these values. So the visualizer here becomes very handy. Okay, so let's try deleting some of the red particles. I will create a blast node just below our wrangler. Connect it, and let's call this blast kill by color. Of course, this can also be done with the state of the particle, but you can do it any way you want. So let's change the group type to points, and you can type the following expression: at cd So remember, this is the color attribute. .r, the red component, is less than 0.5, and press enter. So what this expression is currently doing is finding any particle which has a red component value less than 0.5 and deleting it. So now all we have to do is click on delete non-selected. And now you will notice that we're keeping all the rest. And although in this specific situation, not much of the particles are being deleted, it will help a bit once you create your final cache. So let's do this. Since we want this process to occur before the caching, let's bring this upward. So I'll make some room here. And let's move these two nodes up here. Let's connect them to the .io. Let me also turn off the auto update. And instead I will connect the rock geometry output below the blast node.